Hello, everyone. This is lunchtime, and we are seated at the table. We are so excited today. We have a wonderful guest who is going to be with us, and we're looking forward to hearing from her. And this is Miss Angela Lightfoot, who is going to be on with us today. And it's always a good time around that lunchroom table. You just never know where that conversation is going to go. And today we're just going to have a good time. Now, for those of you who are joining in and you're actually going to be a part of the conversation, please go over to the comment box. Let me know that you're here. Also, if you have questions or comments or anything that you want to share, please make sure that you put that in the comment box, and I'll keep my eye back and forth so that I can let Angela know. And for those of you who may be new to the channel and new coming in, I hope that you will join the family. And certainly the Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme family is one that we're ready. We are ready. We are ready to just get out there and to empower, to encourage, and inspire those that we love and we know, as well as those that we don't know. So, first of all, let me share with you. I'm going to see if I do this and not lose everything. I'm going to switch over here. Let me do that. And we have a sponsor today. Our sponsor is Malakasa. And Malakasa is a producer of beautiful stoneware. And these stoneware ramekins, you've actually seen these in the kitchen on Saturday. We use them on Saturday. So if you didn't see Saturday morning in the kitchen, you'll want to do that. And also, hey, Emma, they are available, and I put the link down in the description box if you're interested in taking a look at them. So I'm going to remove this, bring us back, and we're going to talk to, now Emma is coming in from the UK. So I am so excited, Emma, that you were able to be with us today. Now this is Angela Lightfoot, who is with us. And I'm going to let Angela actually tell about herself and fill in all this good information. She's such a sweet young lady. So tell us about yourself, Angela.
Well, Miss Leona, first let me just say thank you so very much for even just inviting me on. For those of you that don't know, I love this woman, y'all. You all are just so blessed to have her, and I just genuinely love her. So I want to thank you for having me. Thank you. So for those that do not know me, my name is Angela Lightfoot, and I am a spiritual and mental health wellness coach with Rita Ricks. Now, quite a few people in the Richmond area have heard of Rita Ricks, and she's well known for being a phenomenal spiritual and business coach. And her and I have been working hand in hand for about the last 2 years and have built the most, can I just say, like, God-centered, amazing relationship ever, where she is able to allow me to just work completely in the gifts that I believe that God has given me as a spiritual and mental health wellness coach. We work very hard in helping people, more specifically women. We always say women and a few really smart men, help them remove the barriers in their lives that are preventing them from living the lives that they were designed to live. Right. I focus on everyone. Like I say, I love everyone. I work with just about everyone, but I have seen that my focus and my calling really has been towards young adults and millennials and women, right? Especially women of color. Just recognizing with all those nuances, there's very unique qualities, right, that just come in with being who we are. And I love being able to just combine my mental health background. I worked as a mental health counselor and a qualified mental health professional for well over 7 years. And of course, the pandemic came in and rocked us like it rocked everybody. Woo. Being a little, not loving germs the way I did, and, having that level of what the pandemic just brought on, I decided that I did not want to go into people's homes any longer and provide, actual counseling. But I recognize that in coaching, I can do it in such a more powerful way. And the thing that I like the most is that it allows me to bring my spirituality into the mix. Because, of course, in regular counseling, the way I was doing it for the companies that I was working for, I couldn't bring my faith into it. I had to do it very by the book. But being with coaching, it's able to really help people ground themselves in their faith, connect to whatever's going on when it comes to any type of mental health diagnosis. And really just realizing what are those barriers that are stopping us from like doing what we want to do. So that's what I do. With Rita Ricks, we provide one-on-one coaching. We have wonderful small groups. We've got retreats, too, that I'm really excited about. We've got a silent retreat, which I will bring up in some conversations with us later about the power of silence and what we get out of that and just the grounding we get out of that, as well as we do beach retreats that are super exciting for us as women to just get away, get ourselves connected with ourselves again, ground ourselves, but also make some really great friendships, networking opportunities, but also being able to propel us into the lives in the world, right, that's about to be ahead of us, but so much more empowered and encouraged. But we got, I mean, I tell you, with Rita Ricks, we do so much and we get so much done, but we love being able to work with people. So I'm super happy that you've invited me on your show today.
Oh, that's amazing. Now, I know I got you, you've introduced yourself, but now Angela is um, a real Instagram star. And her face is on Instagram, and she is active on Instagram. She's working Instagram. In fact, I'm gonna have to take lessons on what's going on Instagram. But I also noticed, Angela, that you got an award. What was that award all about? Please share that with everyone.
So Rita and I were nominated for an award for Richmond. We were part of this great nonprofit organization called the Metropolitan Business League, the MBL, and they are the most amazing nonprofit. I mean, I can toot my horn to them so many times because they are just so amazing. And the city of Richmond paired up with them and nominated Rita for an award. And although we did not win, it is okay. We got to dress up for their awards banquet, which, you know, in a time like we've had, I mean, when's the last time you got to put some sequins on, right?
I know.
We got to just, right? It's been a minute. So we got to just get dressed and get to be around some amazing people that are doing some amazing things in the Richmond, Virginia area. And we were just so honored to be nominated for this award. And, you know, we just hope that it's an opportunity for us to just do much more with, of course, the community, because we recognize, especially in my field, when we look at the side of mental health, right, it's getting bigger and bigger. It's not going anywhere, and our community at large really needs it. So
you are absolutely right. Well, I tell you what, I am just so excited for you and, you know, the organization and everything to be able to do that. And, you know, guys, she's young. She's a young woman. And so I figure if she's doing these kind of things as young as she is, by the time she gets to be a very more seasoned woman,
there you go,
accomplish so much more. So I am just so excited with what you've done.
You better preach this, Leona. I receive that. I receive it.
So it's just going to be a wonderful thing. So, you know, Angela, we have been talking about living our best life. And as we have progressed with that, the meaning of living your best life has taken twists and turns, and you know it's complicated. It's very complicated, and it's been, you know, every day. The more you watch the news, the more, you know, whether it's local, whether it's national, whether it's international, living your best life has a whole new perspective, and we don't want to appear selfish, you know, but certainly each of us need some level of self-care. Yeah. We need to be able to not, you know, to take care of our families and those around us, but we also want to take care of those who are within our circle. And now we know we've got to take care of some folks who aren't even in our circle that we don't even know. Yeah. And it's important that we do that. You know, we are going to have to step out of our box. Yeah. And not to say that we haven't tried to do that anyway, but we want to be able to do that. So would you share with us, because mental health has been a major topic over the past, let's say over the past 3 years. It has just become the topic of the day. Yeah. And so tell us a little bit about what you have seen, the changes you've seen, and just kind of give us an overview. And I'll jump in every now and then.
Absolutely. So when it comes to what mental health has been like, I like to tell people it's that idea that when this pandemic hit, we got to be afraid to hug and love the people that we love. Just that. We became fearful that our own simple way of showing affection and love could actually harm and potentially kill someone. How devastating is that just to begin with? You know, you start with something on that grand scheme of things, and then just imagine how it's filtered down. So I'm also, I tell people I'm also a professor by trade. I teach at John Tyler Community College. So for myself, I love statistics. I do. So a few statistics to kind of give us a good little baseline. 1 in 5 adults in the U.S. experience a mental illness each year.
Wow.
1 in 5. And if you think about it, and these are results I will tell you at the beginning of 2020. So this is like, these numbers are coming right there in the middle beginning of us hitting, you know, going into, you know, lockdown. So if you can imagine now, they're still pulling data and still trying to pull it together, where there's some suggestions saying now it's 3 in 5.
Wow.
3 in 5. Okay.
It's scary.
It can be scary because I think the other part is because we've not talked about it. We hide behind the stigma of mental illness, that to recognize that the strong ones of us are having a little bit of a not so sure what to do. So it's you know, it can look really, you know, debilitating to some people, but it's the idea that now when us putting these facts out there, people are starting to become more able to want to get help and wanting to get help, or people in the family are saying, hey, you know, I noticed that you've been acting a little different. We're more empowered to say something. 1 in 20 U.S. adults experience some type of serious mental illness each year. So that could be levels of really high depression. It could be some type of psychosis. Lots of things can kind of come in the mix when it comes to being serious. Now, the parts that, like I said, I do work with our kids too. So 1 in 6 youth, ages 6 to 17, are going to experience a mental health diagnosis each year. So you think about our kids. You think about, you know, we've been talking a lot about isolation and what the pandemic has done for isolation. They are doing some more studies now talking about the isolation of us being in this pandemic lockdown could be equivalent to how some people feel when they have been, you know, in solitary confinement in prison.
Wow.
So when you're looking at the fact of not being able to be around people, what that just has done to people, then it becomes now this level where in this middle zone of mask, no mask, am I fearful? Do I have it? Am I tested? Am I not? We've got all these new parameters. And before it was like, no, we just don't do this.
Right.
So now there's this trying to figure out what everyone's comfort zone is and just what that can even do. So, you know, when we look at mental health, I want people to recognize that even just anxiety, because I think that anxiety, number one, it is the number one mental health diagnosis that is hitting it. I think we're at about 30% of all the diagnoses, so it's anxiety. And we recognize that anxiety in itself is that fight or flight, right? Tells us what we need to do. So it is innate in us as a good thing. But when it becomes something that it is keeping you from getting your job done, keeping you from getting out of bed in the morning, stopping you from eating, stopping you from taking care of just yourself, and it becomes debilitating. And we've seen a rise in people that, like I said, are the strong ones, right? That we always see. And, you know, there's always those memes that says, yeah, check on your strong friends too. We've got to, right? So I think that with the rise of mental health, yes, it's definitely taken, you know, a very hard left. Suicide rates are, they are up. You know,
that part's devastating.
Yeah.
And it's children as much as adults.
Yeah.
In the past 2 weeks, I know of 3 children who have committed suicide right here around me.
Yeah.
And that is frightening.
Yeah, it is. It's frightening. It's heartbreaking. It makes you question things. It makes you question yourself sometimes. You know, right now, suicide is the second leading cause of death among people aged 10 to 34, right? In the Black community, it is on a rise. It's on a rise. It was always something we could say was not our issue at one point in time, was much lower. But when I tell you, it is skyrocketing. And that's for, people of color in general, even our Latinx community, it is on a rise. And it's this feeling of like hopelessness, right? Not being able to be connected. I talk so often about love languages. I love the love languages. I think that they explain so much about, who we are and how we love. And if you think if someone is a physical, they give love physically by hugs and kisses and touches and just holding hands, right? Or some people feet touching, right? Or people that are affirmations and being able to hear it. If it's quality time, which means just truly spending time, like, those statements people say, we don't have to do anything if we just sit near each other and I can just breathe in the same air you breathe. When you take those out of the mix for people that is their primary way to love, doesn't matter how many phone calls they get. Didn't matter how many care packages they had. As much as I love your food, Miss Leona, didn't matter how many wonderful food things you sent my way, right? It still does not connect for some people.
Yeah.
So it's recognizing we're all different. We all have our limitations. We all have our life experiences. We all have maybe some trauma, right? That's happened to us. We might have had something that happened to us as a kid that never got resolved. And as a result of this pandemic, as a result of, with the whole Black Lives Matter movement coming up to a head during the pandemic, that's called a systemic, where more than one pandemic is happening at the same time. And I remember, and I don't know if you remember, Leona, when everything started happening at the beginning of it and George Floyd was killed and Breonna Taylor, and then we're dealing with this pandemic. I felt like I was walking on ice sometimes, like ice with myself even, right? Because it's like you said, it's what you're taking in too, right? So every time you turn on the news, and every time I turn on the news, I'm seeing this officer with a knee on the neck of this man. What does that do to us? A lot of people don't realize you can take that as a level of trauma for yourself. You're seeing it. It's changing you. Every time you watch it, what are you doing? You're re-traumatizing yourself. So some of us have put ourselves in those, boxes as well.
I had to be careful with myself. I'm a loving person. I see hearts more so than I see people and faces and color and those kind of things. And I try to take people where they are and try to look within rather than looking without. And it was very shaky for a while. And I'm a hugger. I'm a toucher. And so it was hard. It was hard because you'd see people you knew, and my automatic thing would throw the arms open and go, oh, give me a hug. And I'm thinking, oh, we can't do that. So we just kind of stand there and each of us would do this.
Yeah.
And, it was really tough to have to be able to navigate that. And then when I know in some of the children with school, what really bothered me was, the kids were so excited about going back to school, even though I don't think it ever registered with them how different initially school was going to be, where they had been at home. None of us really, the time went by, we survived, thank God. And we were able to do what we needed to do. Kids were hopefully able to do all the things that they needed to do. It was a little rocky, but they did it. But then once they went back to school, there were so many children who struggled. They were excited about going, but once they got back in the classroom, they struggled because the environment had changed, not just looking at the mask and the separation and those kind of things, but also the noise level. And I was talking to a little fellow who said, I think I want to go back home.
Aww.
And my heart broke.
Yeah.
Because I know he loves school. Yeah. And he said, I want to go back home. And I said, why? He said, because it's quiet. I said, what? you're the one who likes all the noise and all the, you talking to everybody and doing it. He said, I got used to the quiet.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he went to school and then he had to get used to the noise again. And now he's found the balance and he's back ready to go. And it wasn't as bad as he thought it was going to
There you go. See, that's what it is. That's the part, Miss Leona.
Right.
It's yeah.
Yeah, it's scary. You know, it's scary. So while we were so focused on just dealing with each other, I mean, for a while, you know, I didn't go in the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I go in the grocery store and it was like, you know, you kind of thought COVID was going to walk up on you. You know, that's how bad it was. That's how bad it was. Yep. And so, you know, you had people who were having to bring their loved ones home, you know, from other locations that they had been living because they were no longer able to take care of themselves. You had families who had those who had gotten sick. They were having to bring them home. And so many of them needed care. Yeah. And it was crazy.
It was
off the chart. So when we talk about mental health, we've got to all jump in the basket, because while it may be more severe for one person than the other, we've all got some issues that we need to navigate through.
That's right. And I, you know, with our church, I make it very clear. We had a conference February 28th of 2020. We got together for a mental health conference. And the one thing that a lot of people said was the most powerful thing about that conference was what I said at the very, very, very beginning. I showed pictures of all these different celebrities, right? You're seeing all these people that you're like, oh, I know him. Oh, I know her. I've seen them before. Oh, I know him. He's a famous person. And then the last picture was a picture of me, right? And it was me saying, you know, I know who I am. I know who my parents are. I know who my family is. I know who my church is. I know the people that love me. I know the degrees I have. I know all this stuff. But at the end of the day, I also have adult ADHD. I do suffer from, you know, a little bit of anxiety, depending on the circumstance. I have some trauma in my life, so do suffer from a little bit of PTSD, right? But at the end of the day, right? Child of God. So that,
absolutely.
I know what all these things are. I know what all these things mean. I know how they actually, I tell people every day, ADHD was probably the best thing in the world that God could have given me, because when everybody else needs to be sleeping, right, needing to get their rest, I'm still up going. I'm still creating. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to help my clients. Many of my clients work 9 to 5 jobs. So when do they want to see me? 8 o'clock at night, right? Right. So I've got the energy to withstand the attention. You know, I know how to I know how to focus my attention better. Right. So I want people to understand that the stigma of mental illness is not the stigma and the death sentence. Right. Or the being put in a loony bin. Right. We've heard all those statements. It's not what that is anymore. For some people, yes, they do have to be hospitalized and get intensive treatment. Yes, that does happen. But I will tell you, there's a lot of people that it's like, what if we could get our hands on them before it gets to that part? What if we can help them understand how to work with their diagnosis, how to help families empower, you know, the people that have the diagnosis. But much like what you said at the beginning was with these kids, we were able to see something really important, right? These kids, you know, got snatched away from school, right? Some of these little ones, I think of the little ones that didn't even start kindergarten right before, you know, the pandemic started. And then now they get back to school and they're trying to figure it all out. But what are they doing now? They're seeing a tick that these kids are getting it. Like you said, they're starting to find their groove again. They're starting to find what feels more comfortable. We can do the same things when it comes to ourselves with certain types of things when it comes to mental health, especially when it comes to things like anxiety, mild depression. There are some actual steps that we can do to help alleviate some of that. And like you mentioned at the very beginning, self-care, it's like my MO. Self-care is the biggest one to me. It's taking care of ourselves truly, you know.
But don't you think that that's one of them that's the hardest to do?
So
and especially as women, you know, that is probably one of the most difficult things. Or it's a thing that we put on the back burner. We take care of everybody else and we forget about ourselves. And in fact, I was just talking to one of the viewers this morning and we were talking back and forth in the comment box. And she's going through some things and trying to deal with some things. And I mentioned to her, you know, okay, I know you got to take care of this, but you have got to take care of you, because if you fall apart, everything else is going to fall.
Everything. We hear about the mask. What is it? The airplane mask thing. We hear it all the time. Put your mask on first before you put anybody else's on. But we just don't do that. And I think as women, we do have a much harder time because we are the nurturers. We're the ones that take care. We see the whole big picture and know that sometimes we just can do it better, faster, in a hurry, and we need to get it done. But then to the stress that it puts us at the end of the day. So when it comes to those things of self-care, we've got to every single day. One big thing that Rita and I always say is every day you have the opportunity to choose joy.
Mm-hmm.
By choosing joy, you think about the things that come with joy. There's certain things that we do in our day to day. I am a big coffee girl. That good cup of coffee in the morning, and especially if my creamer is there and my favorite mug is in the cabinet, that brings me joy, right? It's so simple, but it literally can set my day right, because we know the opposite days when all the mugs are dirty, your cake cup is missing, and you know, right? It changes things. It's the joy. And if we can just choose a little bit more, right? And imagine those things that we can start doing. But you're right, we've got to plug into that joy center. I think that the pandemic, I think that, you know, the struggles of being Black in America, the struggles of being a millennial. People talk about us millennials so daggone bad, right? All the time, right? You know, it's okay. I mean, I get it. There's some of us, but you know, every generation's got something, right? Yeah. But it's that we've got a lot that we're carrying. So if I can every single day choose something that brings me joy, it makes my outlook, makes my mindset look a little bit different. You know, we can see how sometimes anxiety just grows and where it stems from, and how we, instead of handling something, maybe we let it fester. We hold on to it too long. Someone says something to us and we just hold it and we fester on it, and it becomes what? Toxic to our bodies.
That's true.
And to me, our brains are, you know, you think about it, you know, you can control your body to do so many things. You can train your body to do so many things. We can also train our bodies to hold on to some things that we don't need to. And I think that by introducing self-care, and like I said, that is the smallest thing. Now there's self-care. For some people, it's as heavy as medications and therapies and getting yourself a coach. And there's so many things, but self-care is that one thing that it doesn't necessarily always have to cost us a dime to do, that we really need to do for ourselves every day. You know, something.
Yeah. I've got a viewer that's saying our children need to learn how to get along with both children and adults. And you're absolutely right, New Step. She said, while on Zoom with many of her students, the lines got blurred. I can just imagine. And children are struggling with being able to make that adjustment. You are so right.
Yeah.
And you know, I saw those lines blurring probably the last 3 years of teaching, whereas I'm gonna put this out there, and this is from the standpoint, you all can jump on me if you want to, but I taught for over 36 years, so I've seen from one extreme to another. But initially, when I started teaching, I saw parents who were very much about trying to keep the line of respect between children and adults. But as time has gone by, and I have to say, television, all those kind of things have filtered into it, children have gotten very comfortable with saying and doing things with and to adults.
Yeah.
And maybe to me, I draw a line to a point. I don't play with children, you know, I don't play with them. And because when I need to speak to you seriously, I want you to know I'm speaking to you from authority. I'm not going to tell you anything that's wrong. And so I find, and I have to tell you, I found it in working at church. You know, it was working back and back with the kids for a while, and I had to quit because they want to play with you, and I'm not that girl. You know, when I ask you to sit down, sit down.
Yep.
Sit down. We got things to do. And we're on a time schedule. But, they forgot. They don't know. They think they can kind of play back and forth.
Yep.
And so, you want them to be comfortable. Whereas I don't mind sitting down and having a conversation, and we play games and we do those kind of things.
Right.
But at the same time, understand I am still Mrs. Dooley, and you're gonna treat me like that. I'm not your buddy next to you. And this thing of kind of tapping you, and it's playing. No, it ain't. I don't take that. And so we're trying to find balance, because so many kids play like that, and they play like that at home.
Yeah, they
And
do.
so it's different. They don't know how to navigate. And the same happens with the teacher, because you're looking for them to listen to the teacher, do what the teacher asks them to do, but they're thinking they can play with her.
Yeah. There's even been a rise in student to teacher abuse. There was that, and I so try to sometimes be that person that's like, we can't blame it all on social media, but they get these ideas. There are these ideas that keep popping up, these trends that keep happening. There was that one where it was like you slap the mess out of your teacher. It was like the slap a teacher challenge or something. That thing horrified me, because I'm like, do you guys recognize it's not only the violence, it's not only you putting your hands on somebody, the fact that it's like now you've literally put your teacher now in a situation of fight or flight, increased anxiety. We're already having to do all these extra things of wearing masks and be 6 feet distance, and we're already, all this is happening, and now you want to introduce this challenge where you are putting your hands on somebody else in a violent manner as a joke.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing of it is that the child, and I've seen this happen, the child will get their hands spanked and they'll be back in class. If the teacher is not very guarded and does the first response, she's gonna lose her job. And yes, she shouldn't have, but
right,
for somebody to knock doobies out of them? No.
Right? I always say we all have a temperament, we all have a limit, right? We all do. I tell people all the time, I'm a deacon at my church, but I'm telling y'all, I still have a limit. I just do. We know this about ourselves, and then to understand, this is when you put the mental part, the mental wellness part onto it. If we're not taking care of ourselves, right? If I missed that cup of coffee in the morning, if I didn't take my walk later in the day, if I didn't take that bubble bath that just could soothe me, listen to my lovely music that just calms me, whatever, if I don't do those things, it's going to make it that where no matter how great, sanctified, whatever you want to say you are, someone pushes that limit, right? We always say it's a straw that broke the camel's back. It's not even really it wasn't what that situation was. It's taking on that overwhelm, because that's been the leading thing. People are saying that between feeling anxious and having high anxiety, but then just feeling overwhelmed.
Yes.
Overwhelmed is becoming like a new word. We think that having all these things on our checklist, right? Oh, I've got this, all this stuff to do. Your worth has nothing to do with how many things you can check off a list.
Exactly.
And go ahead. I'm sorry.
The teachers are under stress as well. We're talking about teachers, but you figure I even look at the sales ladies in stores where we go. I have seen people who have treated them very disrespectfully. And I'm looking at them thinking, you know what? This person is providing a service. And while you may not like their persona, you may, like this one fellow was upset because she had on a mask. And I'm going, oh my gosh, you know how many people she has to come in contact with every day? Why are you upset with her? And she's not bothering you. But you think about it, it's like people have lost the balance and the respect for each other. I look at it from a standpoint, of do I like wearing masks? No, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. But out of respect for everybody else, my mask is on because I'm trying to protect you because I don't know what could be going on with me. So I'm trying to respect you.
Mhm.
And but they're not seeing it from that standpoint that we're trying to look out for each other.
Mhm.
And if we soften and really stop and look at our perspective, then I think we're in a better position. You know, if we look at it from love, look at it from God's perspective. You know, we're all here.
Yep,
We are here to love each other.
that's
And if
right.
we love each other, then we're going to try to help to respect and to look out for each other.
Right.
And whether it's wearing a hat, a scarf, a jacket, or whatever it is that we're asked to do that keep all of us in a better place, then
Mhm.
that's what we'll do until we can do better.
That's right.
You know,
Until we get better.
we will eventually get to a point where we're not going to have to worry about that. And I personally believe that.
Mhm.
And you know, it's just it seems like the lines of respect across the board, not just children. We're talking about adults as well as children, have
Absolutely.
just gotten blurred.
Yep. Yep, they have, and I think that when we really look at some of the reasons why, I mean, the list I'm sure really does go on and on, but I think that for some people, and it's not even giving an excuse, it's just that understanding. I feel like we've all, this is gross. I feel like we're all that pimple on the back that we just need to get bust, right? Like
Mhm.
it's just that we're all so just, so tight. And it's like just that one little something. And
Yeah.
it's just this, it can just erupt from these places. And like I said, I think that we're not taking good enough care of ourselves. I think that
Yeah.
we're not, but I think we're also, it's hard to. Like I
Right.
just said earlier, when you can't hug the people you love,
Hmm. Hmm.
when maybe you've lost your job,
Exactly.
well, maybe even some of those ones that, feel like they maybe had it good, where it's like they lost their jobs, but they were getting, unemployment, but then they were getting that bonus unemployment. So then
Right.
they got comfortable living a certain way because they've never had the ability to live a good, what they would consider a good, comfortable life. Now you're snatching that away from them, right?
Hmm.
Some people are saying that feels like a level of grief, right?
Hmm.
I
Oh
was,
yeah.
I was living a certain type of way. I still don't have a job. Maybe I'm getting evicted. We have
Hmm.
a humongous splurge of pandemic babies now, right?
Oh my
Which is
goodness.
another big boom.
Hmm.
So there's so much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're all dealing with something,
Yeah.
right? You
I'm
know.
gonna bring Kim in for just a second. She said that we're both correct. She said a friend of mine is a school psychologist, and the parents of her school are so disrespectful to her and other staff members. And she says the stress wears on her.
It
And
does.
Kim, I'm
Yeah.
devastated
Yeah.
because, I can remember the day when, having been in education for so long, I can remember when the teachers, the counselors, the principals were highly regarded.
Yeah.
And we worked together as a team with our parents. And we were able to accomplish much. But now parents come in with a fixed feeling sometimes,
Yep.
and it's not all parents. So I don't want to say
Right.
everybody because
Right.
it's not. But it just takes a few.
That's all it takes.
Just keep you stressed.
Yeah.
Teachers are already stressed. Their teachers are stressed every day on a good day
Yeah.
because they're under pressure to make sure that they've done what they're supposed to do. And
Right.
then you add in COVID, mask, separation, uh, lunch, all those kind of things. I mean,
Yeah.
teachers, many of them aren't even able to do what we're doing right now and have lunch together,
Right.
so those are the kind of things, I used to look forward to lunchtime because we could sit, decompress,
Yes. Right.
giggle, and have a moment. Then we'd be ready to go back into class.
Exactly. Now
Well,
you don't even have
I
that.
don't do it anymore.
Plus, let's add the fact that you guys are so underpaid. But that's a whole
We
nother
won't
conversation
talk about
for
that.
another day.
We're gonna leave it alone.
That we won't even go there today. That's another
That's another
discussion for
stress.
another day.
Yeah.
But no, you're absolutely right. I tell people also when we're trying to figure ourselves out, we recognize that, like you're saying, the disrespect's happening. Okay, what's going on with that child, right? What's happening? Where is something disconnected? Because as we know, there's that big statement, hurt people hurt people. I don't know another statement that's not more true, right? Something's going on. We recognize that, and we go back to mental health. The rise in just alcohol abuse and drug abuse has increased. Child abuse has increased. Domestic disputes have increased, right? So my thing is, we're thinking we're sending this kid back to school and saying, okay, I'm sorry you got to do all these things and wear this mask, stay in your distance, like that. But then the teacher says something, the student says something. It's just a caring word. The student takes it wrong, and what is it? It turns into something. Now that student's disrespectful. That student might not be sleep. There's so many, you know what I'm saying, things, and it's like, can we just operate a little bit better on kindness, right? Teach some better respect. Like I remember, even in being in school, I knew if my teacher said, I need to call your mother. Oh, when I tell you, Anita, my mother is the nicest woman on God's great earth. But let me tell you something. That's the one thing I never wanted, because I had such this fear of like, no, I'm the good kid. Like I got to do good stuff. I got to do my right. But like you said, there was that fear. And then being sent to the principal's office.
Oh, Lord.
I'll tell you, I am not by any means necessarily goody two shoes, but I will tell you guys straight up, I never got detention once in my life because of the fear. Okay. The fear was real in our household of like, that's what you don't
do it.
Right. But yeah, I think the fear, I think the understanding, I think having that level of respect, I think even understanding what respect means, because people change. People are different. What's the golden rule? Treat everyone the way you want to be treated. Right. I got some slight issues with that. And I know it just means treat everyone kindly. But in the same token, knowing the difference even between extroverts and introverts, you don't treat them, talk to them, interact with them the same way. Right. So I think it needs to be more, operate on a level of like understanding and respect and kindness, but also understand, what is that person really standing in need of? Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Well, we have loved my babies forever. And she says that sometimes we have to be more mindful that the students as well as us have stresses. And, sometimes they just don't know how to control them. She also said that she finds that, let's see if I can break it, that she decompresses in her own room rather than trying to go somewhere else with everybody else. She just stays in her spot. Sometimes we need that quiet.
Let me tell y'all something. This is something I'm probably the most proud of. Where we're sitting in this little spot right here, where you guys see this background, this is my very own she shed. Okay, this is a 12 by 22 lofted barn in the backyard of my house. Okay, I bought this thing a few months before the pandemic hit. When I tell you this thing became my saving grace, because I am such an extrovert. Miss Leona knows, y'all, I love me some people, and the more people I have around me, the better I am. So the pandemic did something. It changed me. But I had a project. I got to turn this whole she shed into my office, a place where I can decompress, a place where I can scream if I need to, a place where I've got a workout bike over there so I can do those things, but also a quiet place for me to have on my own, because I tell you, there's so much power. We always say with Rita, the solution is in the silence. If you can't get some quiet time to yourself, how can you think? Just like you said, that little boy earlier, he said, it's too loud, I can't even think, right?
Right.
There's so much science even on being silent, right? So for the silent retreat that we do, I get people online from all over the world, which is so amazing. I've got people from all over, like you, Miss Leona. We're stretching our reach wide, and we get on at 9 a.m. Eastern time. Everyone's on. We kind of talk for a little bit. I do a praise and worship. I do a devotion for us. We talk about something that's kind of going on. I do a guided meditation, and then I send everyone off into be silent for 4 hours.
Wow.
4 hours of silence. I tell them, pick a spot. I say, put yourself on do not disturb, like we do with our phones. Let the people you love, let them know you're busy and that you're going to be on do not disturb for 4 hours, because you know somebody's always going to want you. But let them know you're not disturb, right? And you sit there and you get quiet and you journal and you read your Bible, you read a devotion, you take in the things that are really good, and you sit and just ground yourself in silence. When you are truly silent, I'm telling you that I always say God just downloads. It's like I get plugged in like my cell phone and I just get refilled. And then we come back together and we just share about our testimonies of the day. Just that little bit of quiet time, but then reconnecting, it does something for people, right? So I think having a place to decompress, it's like, you know, this is my self-care, right? This is my self-care up and down, because I can do anything in this space, right? I call it my she quarters now. This is my she quarters, SQ for short. This is where the work gets done. The magic happens because it's my space. So I'm a big proponent when it comes to self-care. Have yourself a defined space that you can decompress on your own and just be quiet for a few minutes, 15 minutes a day. Just 15 minutes of just quiet. Even if it's right before you get ready to go into work, get there 15 minutes early before you sit out there and just be quiet for 15 minutes. That's all. 15 minutes. Journal. Journaling is so, so big, right? Putting some things down on paper, putting it out. Like, I really wish that more of these young kids really were journaling, because I think their emotions go like this so much that if they could see a pattern of, oh, well, I know I was mad, you know, a couple weeks ago at this, but now I'm over it. And I knew that was something I didn't need to be mad at. When we can reflect back on how we've come, it changes things.
Well, you know, now kids are dealing with a lot with social media. And it seems like instead of social media necessarily being fun, that it is actually causing more stress, in that, you know, you're finding the bullying. And you know what? It's not just children. I have seen it here on YouTube. And people, things that sometimes people will say, you just kind of think, okay, uh, if you don't want to be here, don't, you know, go. You you dropped in. I'm sorry. You know, that wasn't necessary
At
and
all.
You know, I hate to have to think that we would have to censor people, you know, on YouTube, but sometimes people do come through and they say horrible things that aren't very encouraging. And it is important, I think, as educators to try to pour as much as we can into our children and also to the adults that you're working with. Because sometimes your next door neighbor, who is the teacher next door, may be going through something that may not have anything to do with school, something that's happened at home. And they're trying to bring, you know, they're trying to come home, trying to come to work, trying to focus. Doesn't have to be at school. It can be in a business where they've had to go back to work. And that person is hanging on a string. Hanging on a string. And we may be the one to help keep them from falling. And so it's interesting to see. Love My Baby said, she said, it's important. We give and we pour out so much as an educator, as women, and just as people. We need to fill back up all of that we poured out. And self-care is hard. It is. It's hard finding the time. You got
to take it. And my big thing, I'll tell you guys, if we're saying it's hard, anything in this life that's hard, because there's some things that we want in this life that we really want, and they're going to be hard to get to. We've got to schedule it. Put the time in your calendar. I'll tell you, my mom, every single night, just about, that woman takes a bubble bath with her favorite bath salts and things like that, because she's worked so hard and she knows that it's good for her body. It helps her sleep. You know, she works hard with her hands. So it's like, it's a good moment. It's scheduled. For myself, I'm really big, especially during this pandemic, of going outside and just walking, right? Just getting a good, you know, quick walk around my neighborhood, quick block. You know, I'll put on my rose-colored sunglasses, which are real. And I'm telling you right now, with this spring coming, the purple flowers, the pink flowers, the green grass, they are so vibrant, y'all. when I tell you, it makes me excited because, you know, you can walk very muted in this world, right? But when we can do a little adjustment, like I said, the way I see those rose-colored glasses, to me, it's the way God sees us through Jesus, right?
Absolutely.
And I want to put them on, and I'm like, you know what? Let me see what I do have a little bit different. Let me start with being what? Grateful for what I do have. Starting with gratitude in your heart. You know, I wake up every morning and I at least try to write down 3 things that I'm grateful for. I try. You know, some days it kind of might be a little on repeat, so I kind of have to adjust it a little bit because I tried not to repeat anything. But it's made me really look at the nuances of people, of the things that I do have, of my abilities that I do have. Because there's been things that have happened as a result of this pandemic where my body has changed, right? Things have changed. And it's like, okay, well, how can I embrace this change? How can I strengthen this change? Focusing on me, you know, really taking that time to focus on ourselves. And I'm really big on always talking about people about making sure you're in alignment, right? And I'll real quick, it's those, you guys maybe have heard of those 8 dimensions of wellness, right? They are your emotional wellness, your environmental wellness.
Let me write that down.
Okay. Yep. Let me start from the beginning. So we've got our emotional wellness.
Okay.
Right? That's how we cope with everything in life and how life treats us and how we have satisfying relationships. We've got environmental, which is like, it's everything around you. So like I said, even being here in this she shed, my environment and what it looks like, what it feels like, the perfumes I spray in the air, the candles I light, the people I surround myself at work, right? Your environmental wellness. You've got your financial wellness, right? And that's your satisfaction with your current and future financial situations, right? We've got our intellectual, and that's recognizing our creative abilities and finding ways to expand our knowledge and our skills, right? You got our physical wellness, which is that big one. People say, how you doing? You say physically well, you think you're big and strong. But your physical wellness is simply you recognizing the need for physical activity, healthy food, and the big one, sleep, y'all. Your physical wellness, sleep. We're not sleeping enough. I'm just going to put it, we're not sleeping well. We're not sleeping enough or deep enough and well enough. We've got to change those. And then we've got our social, which of course it's that developing that sense of connection, feeling belonging, and well-developed support system. So who in your social circle supports you? And then finally, my favorite is spiritual, right? And it's expanding that sense of just having a purpose and your meaning for life. What's my purpose? Why am I here? And what am I supposed to do here? Right? So not saying that they have to be in perfect alignment, but all of these things, if you get these things to be feeling better in your life, right in your life, can recognize like, well, why am I feeling so tricky? Take a moment, look through all of those, and maybe one of those is a little skewed. Maybe financially things are tight. Maybe socially because of the pandemic, you've not been able to be around people. Maybe emotionally you're struggling. Right? And you need to talk to someone. Find yourself a good coach. Find yourself a therapist. Talk to somebody. Right? Just take the opportunity to get yourself well.
You're absolutely right. And I'm looking at these, and as I look at these, one impacts the other.
Absolutely.
And you know, over the past few years, every one of these categories has been under stress.
Yep, absolutely. Easily.
Every one of them has been under stress. The financial, the intellectual, being able to gain more information. School has been crazy for those from college and beyond and down. The emotional wellness, you know, some people, I was talking to someone and she had just retired prior to COVID. And she and I had this funny conversation because she's been married almost as long as I have, but and was kind of like we were. Conway retired first, and then I retired a few years later. And coming home, we were so used to this, passing each other. You know, we were there, we were home together during the evening, but in the morning we get up there, we had to do it out, you know, and out the door. And then all of a sudden the stoplight came. And you really had to look at each other all over again and try to figure out how to navigate peacefully being in the same space, because we'd been so used to having our own separate spaces for hours only to have to come back together.
Yeah.
That was stress.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that was stress.
You had to reintroduce yourself to each other all over again because
Yes.
now you're like, well, I know Mr. Dooley, evening Mr. Dooley, but I don't know morning Mr. Dooley, like, or on the weekends or on vacation, because we do present ourselves a little bit differently, and we
That's
have
right.
our own expectations, experiences, and what we like, but then we put it on someone else, and it's like, ta-da! Now what? Yeah.
And the expectations of the other person, you know, now that you're home as a wife, oh, well, now that you're home, you can do this. And I'm looking at him going, okay, now that I'm home, I got time to do something else, and you can handle that. You know, so there was a level that we needed to find each other again, because for us, now I can't speak to anybody else, but for us, it was funny because I was used to not eating breakfast. I'd go out, I'd grab that cup of coffee, and I was gone.
That's right.
And I'm a simple person. I don't usually eat till lunchtime, and that's it. He is a breakfast person. He picked up McDonald's 3 minutes from home every day. So he always had breakfast. And so I'm looking at him thinking, okay, well, now McDonald's is about 5 minutes away. So have at it.
Have at it. You don't have to change. It's still right up the road for you.
Right on over there to McDonald's. But then you have to think, okay, we're gonna have to learn each other all over again. I'm gonna have to learn who you are, because our television viewing is different, all those things. And that's when she started experiencing. It's like she said, who is this person?
Yeah.
We have never been together this long. And at least, prior to that, on the weekends, they go shopping, they go do this, that, the other.
The fun stuff.
Yeah. They're
Yep.
So, it's been an interesting thing.
No,
I love my babies. Oh, her break is up. She said this was an awesome way for her to decompress her last class. Yay! I'm so glad.
Glad you had some time to decompress. It's important.
Here. And space is important. Some have said that they have found their patio or wherever to find that quiet spot. And some people, it's not necessarily in the morning, because they may not be morning people. They're learning. I think we're all learning.
Yeah, and we're learning ourselves again, because I'm telling you, I live with my sister, and her and I are 9 years apart in age. And during this pandemic, her and I were close. We're a very close family. Everyone that knows us, we're a close family. But it was an opportunity for us to see each other very differently. I'm used to just seeing her as my little sister, right? That's just who she is to me. But seeing her like so deeply developed in her work and what she was doing, because she was working from home with me, I've got a whole new deep respect for her, because I'll tell you, Ms. Leona, I'm not the cook in the family. I can make a thing or two. But it is not my thing. Like, I make some some banging spaghetti, but that's kind of not my thing. But my sister is a phenomenal cook, right? So it was interesting to see her go from really working and busting her butt, even with it being online at our computer working. Like, I need people to understand that is just as stressful on us as working out in the roads, out in the streets, doing physical activity. Your brain it's still a muscle, right? Like, it still takes on a lot. So for her to even to do that, and then to still have food on the table for us in the evening, for us to go and walk the dog, we got to learn each other again. She's my best friend. I have a whole new respect. You said this whole thing about respect. I've got a new respect for her and what she does, because I'm actually able to see it, right?
Well, I learned me. I had not realized. We talk about. I don't know if I'm ADHD, but I am pretty hyper, in that I need a focus. I need a focus every day. I gotta have a plan every day, and I have a plan every day. I don't know if part of that is from, the educational side of it, of always having a plan, having it written down, and you have to work that plan. And that works for me. Now, where some are a little more loosey-goosey, they can handle not being quite as planned, and they're okay with that.
Right.
And but I need a plan.
Yeah.
And for me, without the plan, then I'm stressed.
Yeah.
As long as I have to put something down on paper.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to necessarily check it off,
But
but
just
I
having
need to be able to look at it and say, okay, this is the plan for today,
yeah.
and go with that. You
Yep.
know, whether I get up at 11 o'clock in the morning or whether I
Right.
get up at 6, whichever it may be.
That's
I don't
right.
know how people sleep till 11 o'clock in the morning. That ain't, it's never been me. I'm an early morning, like 4 o'clock in the morning. But
see, I'm going to bed at 4, so I'm the opposite. I'm going to bed at 4.
You're going to bed at 4?
I mean, there's moments. I mean, I'm getting better. But no, I've always been the night owl. I don't like mornings. People that know me know don't talk to Angela before she's had at least that 1 cup of coffee, because I just don't do mornings. But when we get to the evening, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, sometimes that is when I am thriving and doing my best stuff. But it's knowing you, like you said, Miss Leona, it's knowing you. If you've learned, I like mornings, I like having a schedule, I like blocking it, I like knowing my plan for the day to execute it. That's what I want.
Yeah. Kim is saying here that she works from home, so she understands exactly what you're saying. She said some people try to minimize her job because she works from home, and she said she's real quick to let them know that she works at home just as hard as she does anywhere else. And you know, you're absolutely right, Kim. You know, working from home, I think, is more difficult than going into the office,
because you're missing things. You're missing things.
You know, I think, and what I see from my daughter is kind of like they're adding more on her because they know she's working from home. And she's struggling to be able to cut it off. She's got a family. So when she was in person teaching or in person working, she was able to say, okay, it's 5 o'clock, work's over, blah, blah, blah. And she's able to get out the door. Now it's kind of hard to do that because we're standing in a track meet and she still has these, what do you call them, iPods, earpods, whatever on, and people are still talking to her. You know, she's still having to listen to meetings with these iPods, and we're at a track meet, but it's after her workout.
And that's what makes it so difficult, because I mean, I work from home as well too. With my full time, we're going to be going back to the office, but I've really kind of trying to figure out what's the best schedule that's going to work for me. I've learned in this time, 8-hour days of working don't work for me. But in the same token, I do recognize, because if you're lucky enough to have that balance, figure out where that balance really is. But we've got to start shutting things off. Things are bleeding over. It's impacting our families. It's impacting our lives. We are more stressed out than we've ever been, right? And I'll tell you that working from home, you think about the things you're missing. You're missing some of the camaraderie of just the water cooler conversations, right?
Absolutely. That's why we are doing what we're doing.
Right? Like, we've missed that. We don't get that commute to driving to work. I only work maybe about less than 15 minutes from my job. When I tell you that commute would do something to me, it was like you said, that decompressing and saying, okay, home, I'm leaving you behind. I'm going into work. Now I'm in work mode. When I leave work hat comes off, stuff gets left on that desk. And when I go home, I'm in family mode. When those lines are blurred, how do you know what's what anymore, right?
I know.
The stress we're putting on our families, the stress we're putting on our kids, the stress we're putting on ourselves to not want to disconnect, making ourselves feel like we have to be available. No, we've got to separate ourselves. I mean, you think about what they're trying to do. They're making us have stand-up desks and desks that have treadmills in it. No, get away from your desk sometimes, people.
Absolutely.
Go outside. Today's a beautiful day. Go outside and just walk for 15 minutes.
Yes.
People had smoke breaks back in the day, and smoking's not cool now. So still take that time and go for a walk really quick. Get yourself away from your desk. Don't eat your lunch at your desk.
No.
There's just little things we can do that really separate us. But no, working from home, working period, right? Especially here in this time of what we're in, still a pandemic, right? It's still going on. I don't want people to say it's not, but it's like, let's put it all together.
You see this person who's responding at this point with the amen. How sweet. Now, for those of you who don't know, you see the Lightfoot person the
That's
last name.
that's
But
my
this is
mom.
her mom who's on with us today. Hello, Anita.
Hi,
And
Mom.
it's so good to see her. Kim Sanders, she separates her workspace from her personal space. And she said at 5 o'clock, she shuts it down. You go, girl. That's
Shut
what
it
you
down.
have to do. That's
Shut
what
it
you
down.
have to
And
do.
it's shut it down. And it's also, think of it this way too. You are also letting the people know, let's say you're getting, let's say you get that email at 7 o'clock p.m. I'm sorry. You work which way you want to work. If you want to work at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, by all means. Even in the messages I send to people on my staff, I'll say, I don't need to reply to the morning. It's just on my brain and this is my work style. You know what I'm saying? This is the way I work. So I kind of make it work that way with people. But no, you got to shut it down. Shut it down. And keep your life as balanced as possible. We've got to work on the balance. Just as much rough moments you have, try to figure out how you can bring, like I said, introduce joy into your life every day. Have the joy, have your boundaries, set up the things you want to do. Use those 8 dimensions of wellness to just check in with yourself. All right, how am I emotionally? All right, how am I spiritually? Ooh, haven't read my Bible today. Maybe I'm going to go do that a little bit and get connected. Just do a little check. It makes it really easy because then when you find out that spot that's pulling, you can put your attention onto it, pour back into yourself so that you're able to pour back into others.
Now, what I would like for you to do is to be sure to shoot to me some of your Zoom and some of your Instagram functions that you have coming up so I can share with everyone. And I think you have a regular show on Instagram. That's on.
So I actually do Clubhouse. I do Clubhouse. So Clubhouse being all new and fun. What I love about Clubhouse, so for those of you that are not familiar, it is just a platform much like Zoom here, but you don't get to see my face. So it's 8 o'clock at night. I've got my face mask on, my pajamas on, and maybe a glass of wine poured. And we have these Clubhouse conversations. It is every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Rita and I get on there. We've got, sometimes it's a small group, about 4 or 5 of us. Sometimes we can have 15, 20 people on that are just engaging in a conversation. We hit on so many different topics that just range. I mean, they range from anything. In the month now, for it being March, we talk about women's history. We've talked about, who's your shero? What advice would you tell your younger self? We really hit on these different things, and it's an opportunity for us to have like a girls' night, little happy hour moment to just have a little quick conversation. So no, it's called The Struggle is Real. So please come and join us on Tuesdays at 8 o'clock because it is fun. It's so much fun.
Well, if you send me that link, then I'll put it in the description box because I think you all would absolutely love it. And it's just a nice time together with other ladies to just have a moment and get to throw in.
That's right.
Elizabeth, I see you got in, and I am so glad we're actually over time, but that's okay.
Sorry, y'all. I talk a lot.
It's okay. I have enjoyed this conversation. And this has been such a blessing. And I hope that it's been a blessing to all of you as well. And Angela, thank you for coming on. Because, this is a message that if I were in my 20s, this is a message I needed to hear at my 20s self. Because I didn't learn some of these lessons until I was beyond 45. And so, I think our young women, our young men need to hear these conversations and need to be a part of those conversations. And I think if they do, then some of the stress that they're suffering from, and perhaps some of the stress-related illnesses that are showing up in our lives early, that maybe we can avoid some of those.
Absolutely.
So, I am forever saying, yes, I may be a little older than some others, but this is about being able to share with everyone. Some things we've learned and some things I'm learning. I'm learning now at this point that I need to do and should have been doing for years.
Right.
So
never too late though. That's one thing. I get it. Yes, for the young ones, but I'll tell you the part that I love also is when we do get our more seasoned people on, because even for you, it's like, oh, maybe that's why I act the way I do. Maybe that's why I feel like I have to be so strong. Maybe that's why I feel like I have to be so disciplined, or just expose me to what I don't know. Right. Because people, and we need people to understand depression. It's been around for a long time, but until the DSM put it in a book, did we think something? So, absolutely.
And, on depression, before I let everybody go, but on depression, I can remember there were times in my life that I think I probably was suffering from a little bit of depression just because of circumstances around me. And I can remember my mom saying, "You're too young to be depressed. Go find something to do to get your mind off of it." And unfortunately, I probably use that line to my daughter occasionally, but I had to go back and apologize because depression's real.
It's so real. And you think about it, and I'll just say, in our community, we think that it's enduring. We call it enduring. We call it being, I hate this terminology. I hate it, y'all. I'm sorry. I hate being called a strong Black woman. Because there's some moments I don't want to be strong. I don't want to have to feel like I have to always be strong and have to bear and have to endure and have to do. Can I just be? Can I just be? Right.
And if I cry, then I cry.
That's right.
Because sometimes it's a time to cry.
That's right.
And I don't know. I'll say to everybody, I was watching Denise Jordan was on with me on Saturday morning, and we were cooking together. And later on, Denise had watched the news, and her video, if you all have not had a chance to take a look at it, but I mean, she is devastated after watching, I don't know what news section it was, but they were showing the babies where they had all of the carriages and their strollers and all that in the middle of this large, looked like a courtyard. And just the impact of that had her to a point of where she could hardly talk.
Yeah.
Well, there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to be real.
Yeah.
If you're upset, I'm not upset with you. I'm upset over the circumstance and the fact that I can't stop it. I want to go and get those babies and bring them home, feed them, and find a place for them where they're warm. But they're over there, they're not here. So we have to be able to do the things. So my best defense is prayer.
That's right. Amen.
I can pray, even though I can't be there to provide, as such, yes, we can put money, we can spend money, and we do. But this is a time where if there was ever a time, this is a time for prayer. Amen. And because so many things are so out of our control. But we know God is in control.
Amen. Amen. God is in full control. Yes. And prayer moves mountains. So prayer moves mountains. And I tell people, sometimes people do have that little bit of guilt. We've got to get rid of the guilt of feeling bad about stuff that we've got no control over. But it's also that, well, if I can't do anything there, okay, what can I do right here in my community? Because we also know that love transcends all. If I can show this person a little love, that person might be going over there to Ukraine and can give this people. Right. So it all works. We all just have to do this together.
It does. And we've got relatives of people who many of their relatives are right here in the United States. So if we find relatives, we can certainly surround them and pray for them as well. Guys, I kept you on a little longer than usual, but this was a wonderful conversation. Amazing. And it was an opportunity to be able to share because, we talked a lot about some of the stress that's going on and some of the stressors and how we're trying to find our balance. But, it's good to know that you are out there coaching and trying to help those who are really struggling because they need good people who are out there. And, Nanny, I see you jumped in. I hope, yes, prayer is the most wonderful gift that we have. And I'll throw her, she says, there is nothing more giving or intimate than talking to our Maker on their. You're absolutely that is.
I love that. Amen.
Yes, you are absolutely right. Yeah. And I think the more that we pray, that all of us pray, we will see change come. And I do believe that.
Yeah.
So for those of you, I know some of you, Angela, you don't know, we started something the other Saturday morning. Of each morning, we light our candles. And if we don't have a candle, we have a lamp that's lit in a particular part of our house, whereas that light is burning, and it's burning for those who are in under stress and being fired upon, so that they have to know, they can know in their heart that there are those of us who are here
Yeah.
and we are in their corner and we're supporting them.
That's beautiful.
Let's continue to do that. I have a great YouTube family, as well as my great church family and buddies.
Amen.
You know, this has been such a powerful time. So I thank you.
Thank you.
And for taking the time to do this. And you never know, I might call on you again. We may need it.
Miss Leona, I just have one request next time. We got to meet in person because I'm hungry.
Well, you're going to have to come on Saturday morning.
I'm going to come. I'll be there.
We're going to have to throw down. We're going to have to throw down.
Teach me some things, Miss Leona, because I'm telling y'all, there's some skills I can learn. I'm always
we're going to do that. That's going to be fun. All right. Now, I see Denise made it on as well. And Denise, I was talking about you just a little while ago. And I want you, I'm hoping that you will certainly be successful in all of your endeavors. I know that God has laid his hand on you and he's got plans for you. And today is where you are, but tomorrow great things are going to happen. And to all of you who are here, I thank you for being a part of our lunchtime. You know, lunchtime is getting more and more fun. And we are becoming more and more comfortable with being able to have conversations with each other. And Denise is asking, what did we say? Well, Denise, we were talking about stress and talking about being able to not have to be so strong. Well, women, strong, supposed to be strong women.
Yeah.
But I was sharing with you that on your last show that you were able to show your emotional side and understand, because of all the things that were going on with Ukraine, that you were able, and those babies, that you were able to show your emotion. And we should certainly be able to do that anytime that we need to. We should not have to keep it in, because people need to know it's okay to cry.
It is.
Male, female, it doesn't matter. Emotion, releasing that emotion is good.
It's good for you.
I thank each of you, and I'm going to certainly let you go. Those of you who came in late, please go back and check out the replay. And if you're not a family member, please hit the subscribe button before you leave, and hit the little thumbs up, because all of that helps to support the channel. And I thank those of you who were with us Saturday, because so many people went out there and did subscribe and talked to some other folks and said, hey, come over here and subscribe. So please share with everyone what we're doing at lunchtime, because this is a discussion that should be huge. We should be able to sit down all together peacefully, lovingly, encouragingly, and inspiring. So that's what we're doing here. So I love you all. Mwah. Have a wonderful, blessed day. And I'll see you another lunchtime.